Hello and welcome to Neptune Talks. Today, we're digging into a topic that's on the mind of a lot of IT executives, especially those responsible for SAP landscapes. We're talking about vibe coding and AI. The conversation isn't really about whether developers are going to use natural language instead of drag and drop anymore. It's much bigger than that.
Right. It's really about how the fundamentals are changing. I mean, the economics, the governance, the entire operating model of how enterprise applications get built, it's all shifting.
Exactly. And AI is a huge catalyst here. It's removed so much of the initial friction from the front end of software creation. You hear about how the first draft of an application can be generated in just a few minutes now.
Mhm. And it's not just basic code. We're talking about screens, workflows, integrations, even proposing the data structures. All of it done automatically, and that is, it's very impressive on the surface.
It is impressive, but if you talk to CIOs and enterprise architects, they'll tell you that the first draft was never really the bottleneck. It was never the main problem they were trying to solve.
That makes sense. The real constraints have always been, well, everything that comes after that first draft. The stuff that makes it actually work in a real complex enterprise environment.
That's it. We're talking about integration complexity, which is huge, aligning with security protocols, transport management, compliance, figuring out the lifecycle ownership of the app, and then the long-term operational support.
Yeah, the hard stuff. And this is exactly why the narrative around low code has to evolve, right? Because the old story just doesn't fit anymore.
It doesn't. Thinking of low code as just a visual development shortcut, that story is over. The new story, the more strategic one, is low code as a governed execution platform. That becomes a strategic layer.
A governed execution platform. So, say more about that. You mean AI brings the speed and the platform has to be able to handle it?
Precisely. AI increases the speed of generation massively. The platform's job is to absorb that speed without creating a mess, without creating architectural debt that you'll be paying for years down the line.
And I imagine in SAP environments, that tension is amplified. It's just much higher stakes.
Absolutely. SAP landscapes are these deeply interconnected systems of record. They run the core business processes. Extension isn't really optional for these businesses, but you have to do it in a way that respects the principles of a clean core.
Okay, so you've got to think about the authorization models, the transport mechanisms, the hybrid infrastructure realities, all of that. You can't just have AI generating code and apps without being mindful of that foundation.
If you do, you just create chaos. When AI accelerates application creation, it dramatically increases the risk of fragmentation. That is, unless the extension layer is properly structured, governed, and architecturally aligned with the core.
So, this really brings up the impact for IT leadership, which seems to be twofold. On one hand, you have this massive increase in potential output.
A huge increase. Business units can suddenly design and deploy process applications much faster. And these apps can have AI capabilities embedded right in them.
And we're talking about things like agentic components that can handle classification or document interpretation or exception handling, things that used to require a lot of custom coding.
Right. So applications move from being these static UI forms to intelligent process surfaces. They actively reduce manual effort and cut down on cycle time. And this has a direct effect on real-world operational KPIs.
Things like order processing speed, field service response times, approval throughput, quote generation cycles, all of that gets better. So that's the first impact, a big jump in output and efficiency.
But then there's the second impact. While the output increases, the complexity shifts upward.
The roles change. Developers aren't just coding line by line anymore. They evolve into architects and quality controllers for what the AI is producing.
And IT's role changes too. IT becomes the orchestrator of guardrails rather than the builder of every single component. Their job is to create the framework for safe and effective development.
which means those governance frameworks are absolutely critical. You have to define what can be generated, how it integrates with SAP, how it's secured, and how it will be supported. Without that structure, you're not multiplying productivity, you're just multiplying risk.
And that brings us back to the platform. This is why platforms matter more than ever in an AI-driven world. As it becomes easier to generate code, applications, and AI agents, the real differentiation moves.
Right, it moves to the things we were talking about earlier: lifecycle management, integration discipline, observability, and making sure everything aligns with the enterprise's goals.
The platform has to unify all the different ways of building, whether it's natural language, visual modeling, or pro code. It all has to exist within one consistent application model. That's the only way to ensure that what's being generated can actually be transported, audited, secured, and operated at scale.
And this is where, for SAP-centric enterprises, a platform like Neptune is positioned. It sits at this exact intersection.
That's a good way to put it. Neptune isn't just a UI builder or a rapid prototyping tool. It's an extension platform that's specifically designed for the realities of SAP. It understands the landscape.
Okay, so it aligns with SAP authorization models, it supports hybrid deployments, it respects those clean core principles we mentioned, which is so important, and it lets applications run close to the business logic they're extending.
So you get the best of both worlds. When AI accelerates the front end of development, Neptune provides that crucial structural integrity on the back end.
And the result isn't just that you can create apps and AI agents faster, it's that you can build SAP extensions that are intelligent by design, governed by default, and scalable from day one.
Yes, AI gets embedded in the application layer to automate processes, assist with decision-making, and orchestrate process steps, all while the enterprise keeps control over its architecture, compliance, and lifecycle.
So platforms like Neptune help organizations adopt this evolution, where vibe coding, no-code, low-code, governance, and integration are all managed through one digital experience platform.
That's the core idea. It comes down to a few critical capabilities. Things like having a hybrid and flexible deployment architecture and reducing middleware and integration overhead. This is where we see the redefinition of low-code really happening.
It's not disappearing. That's the key takeaway. Its role is changing. It's moving from being a simple visual productivity tool to becoming the controlled abstraction layer.
The controlled abstraction layer that allows all of this AI-driven development to operate safely inside those mission-critical SAP environments.
So for IT executives, the opportunity seems really clear. The organizations that are going to succeed aren't necessarily the ones that just generate the most apps the fastest.
No, they will be the ones that combine that AI acceleration with platform discipline. The ones who can deliver intelligent SAP extensions at speed, but without compromising their architectural integrity.
It's a perfect summary. So is it fair to say that low code as a category label is dead?
I think so. Low code is dead as a category label. Long live low code as the enterprise platform for AI-driven SAP application development.
Thanks for breaking that down.
Of course, and thank you to the viewers for tuning in to this episode of Neptune Talks. We'll see you in the next one.